Welcome everybody to another brand new episode of our Paranormal Stories, and this week we have a special guest with us. This individual, she's been in the field and she's made some great validations for a lot of spirit communication and a lot of different scenarios within the field. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Katrina. And Katrina, you're on.
Hi everybody, how are you? Thank you very much for having me on your show.
I greatly appreciate having you on here, and basically to start out, we're just going to try to find out a little bit more about who you are and kind of what you do.
Well, my name is Katrina Cooper, and right now I'm about 3.5 years into doing mediumship. However, I've been in dormant stage. Came from a family where my mom's blind, and it's always been, I believe it if I see it. I know that sounds funny, but it's true. If she was out here, she'd tell you the same thing. But you learn a really quick time that you don't discuss what you hear and what you see because nobody else is seeing it. So it was a really long time that I did not acknowledge. And it was 3.5 years ago where I was, and we were just discussing this just before we went live, that this young man had just passed away, but he had a very strong will of being able to communicate. And I literally think he took over my mouth because I blurted out his name, and the girl in front of me, which was her brother, had stated that it was about 3 weeks or 3 months. It's been 3 years ago, so I hope that it doesn't. The issue is that he wanted her to know that he was okay. He was in a really horrible accident, and he kept showing me this little cross with a little circle in the middle, and she was trying to figure out, and he gave me another name. I don't get names very much, but when they do, they're on point. And that was the awakening that these visions and the person in front of me that nobody else saw actually did indeed make sense to that person beside him. So that was the beginning of my journey of knowing that all along the people I was speaking to and seeing really did belong to quite possibly the neighbor or the person in front of me at the grocery line or my waitress, and all of the above. I've stopped and given them readings to their loved ones that have crossed.
And how do the messages kind of come through to you? Are they images or words or?
Oh no, I can see them. If they're really seasoned, or it really has to do with energy. I have a tendency of also being able to be in this new world, and they show me where they are. And one of the things I love to say is what better way to prove there's a heaven than to indicate your loved one's favorite things. And I'm just speaking to somebody. Here's an example. I'm at a bar, and my mom's playing cards, and the bartender is, I see her mom's beside her, and I don't know her, and I know it took me 30-some years to come to terms of who I am. I can just imagine. And I've had friends that called me family, and now I'm the demon because I speak with the dead, and others, it scares them. But you know, everything that I've done is good. So I've been waiting for the demon, and I've never seen one. I don't say that they're not. I'm not stating that. But what I'm saying is I've never seen one, and they always are giving things to help them. It's not to hurt. It's not to, but getting back to the story, I told her that I'm glad to see that she's back home, back to work. And so she just thought that I knew her. And she said that she had to beg to come back to work. And so I gave her my business card to let her know who I was and if they want me to proceed. And she goes, so how did you know that I just got back from work? And I told her that her mom wanted to talk to her. And she gave me a very strange look. Please remember, and anybody that has talked to me, the message is for you. It's not for me. So I'm playing Jeopardy. I only know the answer. I don't know what the question is. I need you to let me know. But her mother tells me that she had stitches in her knee when she was 5 years old, learning how to ride her bicycle. And she told her that she was in jail when she was 16, and she had something to do with her kidneys in the 20s. And this woman in front of me was in her mid 30s, and she was out of work for carpal tunnel, where she just had some surgery done, and she's crying in front of me, and of course I know that all this got to make sense to her, but it doesn't to me. And she looked at me and she told me, she said that she was adopted, and that her whole life she thought that she was a child that she unwanted and that was thrown away. And here her mother, did you remember I told you that she said when she was 5 years old? That means that her mom's been her angel this whole time. She passed away, but this young lady was adopted, didn't know her background, and here was able to give a message. Now, can I prove that her mother's there? But how would I know about all of those elements that are, quite frankly, very hard on a person in their life, and wondering where they're coming from? That's a fantastic situation, and I like to share those. And that was just going up to get a diet soda from my mom. That's how it worked.
Outstanding. And in the chat we have Valerie and Rhodey. They want to say that you look lovely. So I just wanted to put that out there for you.
And of course, if anybody knows me, Rhodey Speak is my paranormal partner / sister. And thank you for being out there and supporting me, ladies. And Rhodey was a die-hard skeptic. And no offense to the world out there of psychic mediums, but Rhodey really does not. I'm the only one that's turned her. And like I said, they're very precise information. They're not something that's just out of the blue. In fact, I was just speaking with Rhodey, and I have been teaming up with ITC people that do instrumental technology communication, and I want to prove the scientific portion of me is that they coexist, and there's nobody out here that could tell me otherwise. They know what's happening right now, and I'm talking to her and a spirit of a loved one that she has been wanting to contact, and we did on the last with Stephen Huff's devices. And what was beautiful is that this woman was showing me these particular tennis shoes. Rhodey's got turquoise tennis shoes that she just had on today at the moment I was speaking with her. And I have another person I did a reading with, and I was being shown a bunny, not a real bunny, a real rabbit, and she sent me back a video that's what she was looking at while I was giving her reading. So I'm not making this up. I have a backup. We have timing when things were sent. Dude, I had a person send me a picture of her grandmother through Messenger. And the first thing her grandmother said, I don't know this lady at all, just a picture. Send me, and she told me to tell her granddaughter that she has the beads. Now, in my head, I want to say rosary beads. I want to say, but I didn't. The woman said beads. This unfamiliar person, just out of the blue on Messenger, comes back and asks me what color are the beads, and I told her her grandmother said turquoise blue, her favorite color. That woman came back, and 4 minutes later, and I know that she was crying, she confirms that she was, her and her daughter went to the grave and put turquoise blue beads on the grave, and when they came back, they were missing. They thought that somebody stole them. The grandmother wanted her to know that she had them. This is just, those are true stories. That's just amazing to me. And anybody in the paranormal world, what we're wanting is proof. And that's what I'm setting out to do. I'm not just setting out to say, ooh, believe me. If I would, I'd be playing the boats down there and making my living playing blackjack or something. It doesn't work that way. but it's beautiful. It's another existence, another level, and they're fixed. And I'm going to look like Marilyn Monroe when I get up there. I'm going to have that. I already put my. I'm going to look smaller, and I'm going to have my own little body. But you really, truly can be everything, and it's like a lemon. You can put a lemon in your mouth, and it'll water up. I tell you about a lemon, and your mouth remembers without having a lemon in the mouth. It's sensories, and that's how I see spirit world. I'm sorry, I took up 10 minutes.
No, not at all. If you ever see me jumping down or looking down, I have a tablet that I'm using to type in the chat, so I can see see if there's any questions or things like that. Now you've talked about, and this is right before we even jumped on the show. You were talking about how ITC and heaven and religion and science have a lot to do with the spirit world and so forth. Would you like to elaborate even more with that, and kind of, do you have any like projects that you're working on to tie the two together? I am
working on a lot of projects. You're absolutely correct, and I'm so happy because it's getting the right. I call it para-unity. I think we all need to get all of our views together, every aspect, every thought, and help to understand instead of being afraid of it, and acknowledge. And with that, Jason Bland, I met him a couple of years ago, and he does a show too, but he's in these instrumental technology communication, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting, because I started doing pictures. And by the way, my mom, the blind one, she was with me when I got pictures. I have not posted them, but you can see their eyelashes. Anybody that has physically been and saw my pictures of my spirits, it's because I asked them to take their picture. And I'm not talking about them running from you. You actually see all of them, their clothing, their hair, facials. And I've had some of the best photographers, in fact, Stephen Huff, and I had an original picture taken right there with him when I met him in, it was Tombstone. So what I like is, and putting this technology together, is I got nothing to hide. It's real. It's happening. And I call it heaven because it's your best, the things that you love. I don't have a particular religion. I think that each one of them's got a little bit right. When you hear me talk, I want to let you know that there is a maker, and there is a promised place that we go to, and a majority of it, if you take the right path, you get to experience it. I have never yet, and I did say yet, I've never seen a person go to hell. Now, I've seen people that I don't see them for a while, and I think they're in their little guff or learning period, but I've never seen hell.
Yeah,
so to speak.
Because I do quite a bit of Spirit Box communication with the Spirit Box Weekly and different devices. I've tested actually almost all of them out there. But the one thing, and I've said this to other ITC researchers, I don't typically hear heaven. I don't typically hear hell. I'll hear God, I'll hear things like that, but I don't usually hear heaven or hell. And it's always been like a curiosity for me, because I'm like, you would think if you're hearing angels, you're hearing love and God and things like that, you would hear the other two. But I never really...
I've never seen angels either. I'm not sitting there saying that St. Michael and all of them don't exist. I did not say that. I want to be very clear. But what I do see is that I find... I actually see them around, and your angels are your loved ones. When there's something happening, I've had it 9 times out of 10, and the 10th part comes in afterwards. It's something that happened in the future, and they can't confirm it until that happened. But they're hurting in a certain area, or they had a problem. It's because I see what I call their angels, their loved ones that are crossed over, taking care of them. And it's always going to be somebody different, because if you got problems cooking, you don't want John that used to work on cars come and give you guidance, so to speak. That's how it works. And I can just tell, and I only speak what I see. So I agree with you. And I just happen to call it heaven because the description on earth calls it heaven. I think, and you heard me say, what better way to describe it than your loved one's favorite things? And I see people that are not broken anymore. They show me that they're dancing, something that they love to do, but had broken legs. Or, for example, I did a reading and he's showing me that he could wiggle his toes. Do you know that he had his legs amputated from his knees down? That just shows fixedness. Here's a perfect example. I walk into a room. We were talking about this earlier. I go to a home session, and it's a woman that's of age. She's in her 70s, and her husband just crossed over about 2 weeks prior. And you know, I walked in, and I told you that they let me see their surroundings. And I felt like I was in the best library, like you see on Harry Potter's, just the best of everything. And I'm telling her this, and she's crying, and I go, I'm thinking he must have been an author or somebody that loved libraries. That would be your first thing. No, he never knew how to read. She tried to teach him how to read. He didn't know how to read, but he was showing me that right now he's reading the best and the most complex novels, and beautiful history is at his fingertips. So that's a powerful statement, and I think it goes into the question that you asked me.
Oh, you're fine. There was a couple questions that popped up in the chat as well, and
okay.
one of them was from Rhodey. Ask Katrina about the OTT Hotel, the hotel, when the little girl put her hand on the device that picks up heat.
Absolutely. It is a REM pod. Now, you would understand this. You're a paranormal investigator. You're out there looking for the truth. And I can only give you these truths. And one of the things is you can't change text messages. You can't change where things are on time frames. You will know the timestamp has been changed. And we were at the OTT Motel in Liberty, Texas. And at the time, we had Michael Todd Phillips, which is coming his way. He owns a Huff device, and we also had Rhodey, myself, and Fruit Loop. And what we did is we went in, because I know without a doubt, if you guys want to have absolute something happen, without a doubt, go to the OTT Motel and go to the ballistic jail. Deborah Fawcett is a fantastic woman. They're very active. And a new kid came in front of me. His name was Oliver. I don't get names, man, I'm telling you, but when they do, they're right on point. And I was sitting there and I'm talking, and all of a sudden my cell phone gets a text message from the free internet, and it says Oliver. We are about an hour away from, it's about 90 minutes from Houston to Liberty. So we were about 30 minutes in. We just left, and I get this text message that says Oliver, and all of us are of course are going, what the F, right? I do have a file that it falls in the what the F file that I can't understand. So we contacted the owner, and we wanted to ask her if maybe she, by any chance, had found out who Oliver was, and her name is Susan McLean, and McCain, I'm sorry. She immediately got back to us and said, no, it wasn't her. So, of course, having investigators in the vehicle, which, by the way, was this vehicle right here. My car was 12 hours old, just picked it up. And Michael Todd Phillips is in the back. He gets his equipment out. We use the Speartress, which is by Chill Seekers from Keith Weldon. And Rhodey is getting excited. She gets her to audio, and we ask in the car, Oliver, was that you that texted Katrina? And you hear in the audio, we recorded, you hear my phone go ding, and we get another message from Oliver saying dark room. So that was, now to get it when you ask it in the car on a cell phone from a text message that is unknown on the internet, that wasn't it, dude. It even came out on the Speartress. It was stating the same thing that I was saying, that he was raped, and dark room was listed. Now here's another part, because we went on. That's blowing our mind, right? We got these people, and we got this spirit that's talking to us while we're in the vehicle, almost home, and we get to Rhodey's place, and my phone, and I bullshit you not, oh, I'm sorry, I crap you not, my phone rings. I text back and asked who it was. I got, you can see, and we got proof. I got proof. This isn't just talk. I asked him, who is he? And my phone got a unknown call, and it was ringing Hotel of California by the Eagles. Now, nobody was on the other end. It never answered. I answered. Nobody was there, but it was right after I asked who it was. So those are the experience, and those are the proof. So there you got it. I just find that to be super fascinating. And I was walking around with a REM pod, and it was reacting. We've asked everybody in the community that we know, and they've never heard of it. But I was walking around with a REM pod, and it was answering me like a K2. I asked it to stop squealing. It does. It was answering me by colors. Not always answered, but it was. And then it started to get really tired, where it just gives you that little color bleep. And I was really tired, and I was like, well, maybe the batteries are dead. So I go to give it to Valerie, and it screams. So. And that same day, we got a picture of my friend Rhodey. Thinks it's just so cool, but I had my hand wide open like this, sideways, and a lighter is in my hand for about 7 minutes, and it wouldn't fall off. So I guess I was just harnessing a lot of energy that day. And we got those pictures too.
And then another question, this is from Nikki Paranormal. Nikki works with liveparanormal.com. Her question, the first question, she has a couple actually. Is Katrina able to tell if someone she is talking to or working with has the gift, like is a medium and so forth? Okay, I get this about 90% of the time. People are asking me, and this is what I want to tell you. You have got to trust in yourself. I think, first of all, no, I don't tell people. I can tell you that you are experiencing, but I can't be the one for you to think that I can genuinize it for you. I'm not qualified for that. I'm on my own journey, and I just started 3.5 years ago too. And the only thing that I can tell those people, and I do, is first, trust yourself, write everything down, meditate, and you're going to start seeing a pattern and believe in it, and that's who you believe. Don't think that somebody else has got to tell you what you can do and what you can see and what limitations. And that's my first thing. And another, I like to state, this bothers me because I want to bring this out. People will say, well, your guide's name is this, or could you please tell me who my guide? I want to make this so clear. Your guide is so special
and so appointed to you, why would they tell a stranger who they are? And I just want them to make that very clear. You will know inside, and if a name comes up as Sarah or Digadoo, whatever, that's who you call them. And and I'm not putting out any names or anything, because I've been requested to do this, and I've been requested that question that you state, and I tell them I'm not qualified to give you that. I don't think anybody is. Just trust who you are and go with the flow, because the pieces will fall together, I promise.
Excellent answer. Absolutely. And then the other question that I also saw is, do you find in your work that when someone wants to connect with a specific loved one so bad, that it almost makes the past loved one harder to connect with, or is it easier? Do you get like a lot of times where people do that, where they're trying to connect with a loved one?
It's not an issue. I'm going to tell you that I get connection by a picture. First of all, I want to let everybody know that I call every single person that I have had the honor of giving a voice to your loved ones that are on the other side. To you, you are a forever friend of mine. So I like to let you know that if you ever hear me say that you're a forever friend, or are you, every one of them, and I'm almost 5,000 strong right now, and that's worldwide, it's because I can't think of any other description than to be chosen to give such a message and confirmation and love. And I'm talking about, it's not just the words that are being said, it's the way they want me to say it. There's some that will tell me to graze the side of their face, or maybe flick their nose, or I've even had them want me to grab their ass. I swear, I'm just telling you, that's the truth. And it's because that's how they were. That is their personality. That's how that they would have touched their loved one. And how can I deny that? How can I give it justice than to give it exactly the way it's presented to me? So my thing is that this is exactly for me only, not the general. This is for Katrina Cooper. I have not, and I have a very high successful rate of, I'm a numbers girl, and I put it at a 97, 98%. Your loved ones always come to me. I give you 4 to 5 pages of written down things that are so weird and crazy that only you will know, and they come back and I'm like, I'm biting my nails, like I wonder if they know what it means, and they're going, you got me crying already. And these are just notes that I sent over because they know what to say. They know not to waste time, not to waste energy. And first of all, I don't need to know their name. If your grandfather, for example, I'm in front of a woman and the only thing that he told me was a fork, and I swear you, it was fork. All I said was, he showed me a fork. And she cried. It seemed like eternity, and I just was, and it was for relief. But he was stabbed by a fork. See, I didn't need to know his name. He knew exactly, and they know these precise things that only you will know, and that's the part that I love about it. And if anybody have seen the YouTubes that I'm so gracious of Steve Huff videotaping his session, because he had to contact his mother to get it clarified. So, you know, that means that I didn't read his mind. Please, people were saying, oh, she's reading minds. That's a superpower. And I was like, I don't have that. I'm not superpower. But what I love is that it's not something that can be checked on Facebook. It's not something that you can go and Google. You can Google a person's address. You can Google their birthday. These are memories that if I told you that I'm being shown a whittling of a particular horse, and it's painted red because you chose to color it red, that is something that is not, nobody else would know but you. But it'll take a minute for it to sink in, because you're thinking they're going to tell you something that was today or yesterday. And my readings and every one of my forever friends will tell you that they give you things that just happened, or you know what, when you are feeling so blue that you felt like you had forsaken your loved ones and wasn't there when they passed away. The scenarios are endless, and you didn't make it to the hospital, but yet they're telling me that you were in the car and pulled off to the side of the road, was listening to Barbara Streisand or whatever and weeping. That's because your loved one's telling you that he was with you. You know, so you don't have to carry that guilt of not being there, because they're there with you, and they know what to do. They know if you're hurting. If somebody doesn't come through, and I'm going to get back to the answer because I do ramble, but there's so many beautiful stories that I would love to share with everybody. This is just a tiny bit of a sprinkle, but if your loved one didn't come through in front of me, there's few reasons. One, they might have taken their own life and they're working things out. Two, they're very religious and they want to make sure that I'm a good person. And I've had that where I'm having a conversation with them, and then finally they warm up and see that I'm not a bad person. Four, they are that kind of person in real life. They don't like to talk about themselves or give personal information, and might want to wait until we're together alone. Those are the only reasons I have had where a person didn't get to communicate with the one that they loved and wanted to talk to. And I'm going to promise you, a parade of others walk in the door, including your dog from 5 years old, or your babies that are on their way. They just know. And there's a rule of telling the future, and there's a rule of just giving you a nudge, because we have free will of making our own decisions.
You definitely answered everything we were asking with that. There was another.
So sorry.
There was another question as well. This was from Ed Fern, and I do apologize, Ed. I did see it earlier, and I skipped over it to get one of Nikki's questions in there. Basically, Ed's question is the light that a lot of us like try to tell the spirits to go to, is it a tunnel going to possibly an ascension, or is it possibly a trap?
Okay,
and if you don't know that, that's fine too. So
I'm going to speak only what I see. Like I said, I've never read a book. You won't hear me use any big scientific words. I said I want to write a book with black and yellow that says a mediumship for dummies. That's me. I'm letting you know how I perceive it and the words I use. I feel like the light is a metaphorical thing, not in a particular state. I totally believe in string theory. That is what I'm trying to prove. And technically, by its description, no man can actually prove it, because it's talking about spontaneous layers. But if I could be on a radio show, and I'm in LaPorte, Indiana, and I have the host of the show is in Michigan City, Indiana, which is at least 12 miles, and we have devices that are in Illinois and California and Florida. And if I say that a person in front of me uses one word, which happened to be a trigger word for my friend Rhodey, it was dancing. And we didn't know it, but spontaneously, after going over, and we all know that you have to videotape anything that comes out of a spirit box or anything that you're looking for, EVPs, you want to go back over it with a fine-tooth comb, because you probably didn't hear it when it first happened. But they were able to find that dancing was said over a device that was not with me, it was with another, and that was spontaneous. being in somebody having a device, and I done said that they are their favorite drink, and people think that because you say it out loud, it makes this a speaker say it, but you try to make everybody happy. So I was saying whiskey in air, and the device says whiskey too. So how can you not deny those things? Those are the stuff that I love. Now, it freaks me out to hear it come out of that speaker. I know that you guys think that that's got to be crazy, but I'd rather hear them in front of me and in my ear than to be hearing rah, 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 rah.
Right.
That messes me up to hear rah, rah, that weird voice. That's not always how they sound, but I hope that answers your question. It really is spontaneous, so all at the same time.
Now, with using spirit boxes and things like that, and different types of gear, what would you say personally is maybe some of your favorite things to utilize when you're going out on an investigation?
Well, first of all, it's just me. I got a trunk full of equipment. I've given up. I'm just me. I find that I'm able to remote view much better now. I never knew I could, but by God, I am getting it. I'm writing it down, giving it to Rhodey. We get there, and there it is. My favorite, I have to state, would be the spirit boxes, because somebody can visually hear what's being said, and that collaborates with what I'm saying. Even at Bachelor Grove, the same thing had occurred. I was even able, for a quick second, two other people, one is a skeptic and the other one is an investigator, but you know, you have to be a skeptic when you go into this. I tear it apart just as much as you do. I don't call it demons, I don't call it spirits first. I look for all explanations before I put that stamp on anything, so I want to be a little bit different than the rest that are like myself, I want to break the cookie cutter, but it's I lost. It was so exciting. What was the question?
What type of devices do you enjoy using when you investigate?
Devices. Thank you. I have to say I love the SLS camera to be able to, and Valerie has gotten one, and to be able to have me know that there's one right there and you can get it to come up on the screen, that validates me. That validates not for me to have you believe me, but once again, that question of that other person, whether or not somebody could tell you if you're a medium or a psychic, it goes in my book of me trusting myself, that I can see it. I see it because my mom's always told me it wasn't there. Please remember, I grew up. If your mom told you that this was blue, and your whole world ever tells you it's orange, you're in the back of your head going, "My mom was right." You know it. You just, right. You know that's just, you're wrong. It's blue, but. So no matter how old I am, I got that in the back of my head that my mom's saying it wasn't there. So I'm trying to find those factors to prove to myself. And that's why I want people that are wondering that that's the only way you're going to really, truly trust yourself. So when I see an SLS camera, and it comes up and I've seen it, or it's touching you, or you see, and I say that a little boy is licking the donuts on the table and there is a stick figure on top of the table, well, by God, that, you don't have to believe me, but I'll tell you, that goes in my book of, yep, I am seeing what I see. And that also goes with the recording devices, your EVPs and the ghost boxes. If it says the same thing that I said too, that just makes me so happy, because for one, I'm not crazy, Mom, and for two, it puts it in my book of I'm trusting myself, and nobody else needs to be there to tell me. You gotta trust yourself, and that is what I am setting out to do. Put science and mediumship together, because it is real and they have to be together. It just religion, spiritual and science are together. That it just wraps together. I don't care what anybody says; they do.
It's another topic we could discuss at some point.
Yeah, that's how it is. That's how it is.
So my other question, I like asking this with anybody I'm interviewing, any show I'm doing. If there's somebody newly interested in the field, what would your advice be to them, or any insight for them, possibly?
First of all, I do got some insights. And this is from my own experience. I will only speak with what I see. First of all, if you're going to hook up with a group, please, you have to, just like AA, not every Alcohol Anonymous is going to be for you. You have to be able to have same views and do your research. Not everybody is in there for unity, and one of the worst things that I see in this field is backstabbing or calling out. And we were speaking on this before we went live, that your method is not the right method or your view is wrong. And I think that everybody needs to put it into the melting pot because it belongs there. It does. If we didn't use every question in every situation and acknowledge and utilize, how are we going to break it open and really get to the heart of the answer? So, but there's so many that it's their way or no way, and I think that you have to have an open mind. I was criticized. It was down Christmas time, and I'll tell you, I got the best forever friends, man. Because when somebody attacks me on my Facebook, they're all over them, and I'm like, slow down. We're trying to get it, but it feels good because they're so good to me, and I love them so much. I wouldn't be here without them, and this woman was talking about me using the K2 and that they are shit, and I was like, well, that your view is fine, but the key that I wanted her to understand was it's not that it was K2. It wasn't that how the variables. It was that it was being answered by color. I was asking questions for it to say, if this is it, then I want orange. And by God, I got orange. If I asked for yellow or whatever, I'm just telling you that it did. I have had 5 K2s, and Rhodey was there. I know that this sounds crazy, but you guys, I get a lot of true spirit communication, and then it disappears when we videotaped it. So I know the guys out there know that's not making it up just by pretending and you're lying, but it's true. These are true stories, but I do not have the audio to back it up because we lost it. But I was asking this spirit, and by the way, he was talking about my breast, but anyways, we're at Miss Molly's, and it's this cowboy that, just fancy and everything, and he's on the bed with me, and I tell you, these 5 K2s, when I asked a color, and that is a combination, I even had it go in a circle. One would go off, the next one would go off, the next one with my finger, and then go and cross over to the other side. Now, you got to put the extra variable in there. Nobody has a definite. Nobody. I don't have a definite. I just know that what confirms me is that you understand what words was for you. That's it. Or otherwise, I'm just saying a bunch of crap. If the person in front of me doesn't understand what's being said or who I'm speaking to, it's wasted. And K2s, everybody, you can throw them out, but if I'm getting that kind of reaction, I feel that should be another variable of the unknown possibilities.
And do you have a website, you have Facebook, things like that, for people to be able to get in touch with you to find out more information?
You can get a whole, that's another thing. I do not advertise. I do not have a website. I am a mom taking care of 2 teen boys. I used to do this by donations only, and you know what, man? There was some great people out there with me, but there was also, I was starting to really lose faith in humanity. If I can go and give you a message from your loved ones that you've been wondering from, and you went through a box of Kleenex, I think that that's a gourmet meal, and I'm walking out the door with nothing, and I'm going to your home. I was really getting angry, so I started making an hourly wage, and I was worried that people wouldn't be able to wouldn't be interested, and I'm booked into November. I give 100%, whether it's free sessions on Facebook. I have forever friends because you told your friends, and that's why it's spread out, not because Tom, Dick, and Harry came this way. That's what I want, a little bit different. So if you want to contact me, Instagram, and my Instagram is strictly with screenshots of my actual forever friends making their statements, or you seeing us communicating just out of the blue. If a spirit is there with me when I'm reading your story, I'm going to tell you about it. Animals come through. I had one that just in one of my free sessions, and I told him that you got the collar and the color of the collar and where you have it, and it's a memorial. Well, I wouldn't have known that. I don't hold back. I just give it, but I do have to pay bills. I don't have... If you contact me through Facebook, it's under Katrina Cooper or Katrina Spiritual Medium page. And a lot of people's asked me a website, but I think I'm going to stick to that. I just want to make sure that it's personable.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I do see a question. I'm gonna. This is from Steph Brady, but I'm gonna kind of switch the question up a little bit. I'm gonna make it a little bit different. It has to do with Ouija boards, has to do with things like that. The question I'm going to ask is, you're a very positive person. A lot of people in the chat are acknowledging that, and they love it. You know, everybody loves the energy that you have. So the other side of the question I have for you is, do you think energy has a basis for when you're doing communication, when you're trying to talk to things, that your positiveness is giving you positive communication opposed to being negative gives you negative? And then as well, how do you feel about Ouija boards?
Okay, now I have been with some friends. I'm going to address the Ouija board first. I have a lot of memory that is just not there. I was in a hospital when I was 16 years old. I thought I went in and came out, but after talking with my brother, which by the way is in his 40s, I was in there for 6 months and didn't realize it. So at 16 years old, I should have knew that I wasn't at home for 6 months, but I don't remember it. So my question to and the Ouija board, I had one that went up in fire. So that would be one. Two, I don't need that for communication. So I have used, I have tarot cards. I'm going to use this scenario. Now I was in Kansas after coming from the Sally house. I met the Pickmans. They're very good friends of mine. And I was brought to another house up in Kansas, and they did have a very extremely old Ouija board. And I can tell you that before we came to the Ouija board, there was a boy that was following her.
There we go.
And the only thing that was a common denominator was this boy and this Ouija board. So I wrapped it up and I brought it to Rhodey, because Rhodey she loves anything and everything that goes bump in the night. And so I gave it to her. I guess it's one of the oldest. It goes in the 1800s. So it's a very extremely old Ouija board. Here's my answer to you. And this is what I say when people ask about tarots. I've had them since 82. This told my age. Anyways, the next thing I want to state is here it is. I could build you a home with that hammer, or I could knock the out of you. It's the intention of the holder. So I'm not going to say that a Ouija board or using ruins or anything is going to bring any negative energy or anything like that. But if you can't see like I see, if you can't hear like I hear, that leaves the user vulnerable to who is communicating with them. And that's any device.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
That's all that I can say.
And then the other half of it was, does energy have to do with the results that you're going to get?
All of I always try to stay positive. I'm a witch. You asked I didn't say bee, I said witch. Yeah, but I'm very hard on my boy. I'm very hard on my family. So they would have a different cue of than what you guys see of me. But you have to stay positive. How can I not stay positive when I'm constantly seeing the messages that I'm able to give out my mouth with my voice, but their words? I would be a bigot. I would be wasting the talent that, in my opinion, I call him God, and that isn't the sense of the biblical, but I hope that as the maker, there is a maker that we have. I haven't seen him. I'm not stating that I spoke to him, but there's miracles, dude. This nose right here, literally, and this was last year. I was in Vegas doing a show for Sean for his Las Vegas Paranormal, and my brother gave me a hug. I got the pictures. My whole nose was ripped. The only thing that was holding it together was the middle portion, and that was 2 days prior to me going on his show, which he had me locked in for like 5 months, right? And all I could think, blood's everywhere. I thought it was Michael Jackson. I thought I lost the tip of my nose. And I got this. But 2 days later, that night, I had a dream that I'm telling the truth, that something touched the tip of my nose, and I have to say that had to been God or whoever. There was no face. I just saw the finger. And I woke up, and my nose looked like this. And I got the pictures, dude. I got the pictures. It shouldn't have been like that after 2 days. So that's all that I can say. I was amazed. I just said, well, they're going to have to get me on my good side because all of this looked like big boogers and black, and it was horrible. It was horrible. So energy is important. I think that good energy is always, and if you're a bad person in this life, almost 100%, if you don't learn your lesson, you're going to be a bad person on the other side. So that's how I see them, and I try to stay with good energy. Yeah, I do. I lock myself down. If you see a picture, I have a big protective bubble, and it's really nice. Darling Hollingworth, which, by the way, was at the motel, took a picture of me, and you can see my protection bubble. So it's intentions, man. It's the mind. Our minds are awesome, and we only tapped into a fraction of what it can possibly do. And energy is thoughts, and they never leave. They just continue, and yeah, it does take a lot of good energy, and they don't waste it if you're doing them right. And spirit are 3-year-olds. They keep nagging at you until you answer them.
And we got time for probably one more question, and I'm gonna ask a question I'm not sure everybody already has, but have you swayed your mom? Your mom taught you you know,
Oh my
this
God.
isn't
Oh my
real,
God.
things like that. Have you been able to change her viewpoint and be able to open her eyes, per se?
He says it's. Oh my God. Oh. Nope, I can't tell that story because it would be forever. But there's a special device that I had that was in the bathroom, and it was making noise. And my mom comes out, and she's sitting down because she's been with me where she sees these people that are crying, or the cashier that I'm telling her that her daughter told me that she's got a purple butterfly, and that's all that she loved. These are precise things, or my mom's been sitting there and she sees their reaction. Not that she can see the spirit per se, or be able to put a finger on it because she's got to touch it. But she does know that I am seeing what I'm seeing. She doesn't, and it freaks her out. She says she doesn't know how I can do it. But this thing, it's like a massager. I know everybody's going to say it's a vibrator, but it's not. It's a massager, and the batteries were still in, no matter how you turn it. It also had heat with it, those ones that go on the back, because I get a lot of tension. Anyways, it was going off. So every time she went into the bathroom, she goes, Katrina, did you bring some of those spirits home? It just keeps going off, and I don't know where the noise is coming from. So she really thought that a device that wouldn't turn off and was making a rattle noise in her bathroom was spirit. So yes, the answer to your question is that even though now that she can't touch it and feel it, she has experienced the reaction of another human being getting the messages. So, and for her to come out there, and I mean, my mom was like, and I go, what is it? And she's just like, did you bring somebody home? I just want to ask you, did you bring anybody home? I said, nobody comes home with me, hon. Nobody. She goes, well, it won't stop. So she would never have asked me that if she didn't believe.
I'm sure everybody had the same thought while you're discussing it. So, but thank you so much for coming on, for telling your story. And I know it's just, as you said, a sprinkle of the story that you have. But everybody, you can find more information about Katrina in the description below. You can find links to her Facebook and different links to get a hold of her and so forth. And do you have any upcoming events that you're going to? Things that you'd like to, maybe any books that you might be working on, or projects, things like that you'd like to give a shout out for?
That's odd because, I was just talking about because all of these notes, I've done thousands of readings now, and like I said, people get pages of me writing things down. So I got those experiences. I've been thinking about writing a book. I do have an upcoming event that's in Baytown, Texas, August 11th. Everybody that comes to my shows, I give everybody a message. You bring a picture. The last time I did, I had 57 people walk out forever friends that evening. And I did 9 VIPs, which were 1-hour sessions prior. I work real hard to give. I feel if you come, I'm going to try to give you your message. I'll be on Jason Bland's show next Sunday with Stephen Huff on ITC night, where I'm going to use me and they're going to use their devices. I have some shows coming up in on Oregon and I have things coming up in Louisiana and Georgia. I'm just trying to get to everybody and help and spread the word. And anybody that wants me, if you can get some people together, I travel the country. So, of course, if my travel expenses are taken care of and I can put a little bit of money aside to where I'm taking care of my family, I'm coming. That's what I'm there for. You got a particular Comic-Cons or things like that, I'm there. I got nothing to hide.
I greatly appreciate you coming on, and I definitely hope more people get in contact with you. More people get to see who you are, and you definitely have great energy within the field. and it's wonderful to see, you know, as another individual that's part of the field. For those interested, Jason Bland, his show is known as Paranormal Soup.
Yes.
You can find it on Facebook, and I do believe he has it on YouTube as well. I know he was doing a transition back and forth.
Yes, he is doing.
But for that, you can.
I love the show.
Yep, I do know Jason. Jason's a good guy as well. But
he's a fantastic fella.
Everybody have a beautiful night. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for all the questions. Everybody have a beautiful night.
Thank you for having me, and you have an awesome show.
I greatly appreciate that.